Welcome to today's podcast. It's our Living and Loving Month at the Elevation Church, and we're on a teaching series that we've tagged Love Solid. And on Love Solid this year, we're looking at how do we increase in the knowledge of how to be lovable and loving. To be lovable means that you give the right vibes and you are open to connecting more deeply in your relationship. And to be loving is that you are willing to give more love. So the capacity to give, the capacity to receive is what positions you as a good mate in any relationship, and especially in a marital relationship. Today, I have amazing guys here, uh, um, across the the first uh, uh, I'll say the first few years of marriage, which is from first year to like 15, 20 years, which is the going across the kindergarten of marriage into the high school of marriage. So I have Temitope. Temitope is an HR practitioner. She's been married for 13 years. And then Williams, an engineer, works with a training organization. He's been married for 3 years. All right, William? All right. And have Ayo here. Ayo has been married for 12 years. She's a communications expert. And last but not the least is Mr. King, also popularly called Mr. Kolanut. Yeah, is a lawyer by training. He's been married for also 3 years. So the guys are in the kindergarten while the ladies are more in the high school of marriage. All right. So but we're going to just get a mix of it. The beautiful thing about our discussion today is that the prevalent issues that people deal with in the early stages of marriage, the first 10 to 15 years, is what we're looking at. And I want to be able to get their opinion about certain important questions that some of my counselors have sent to me. And I'm also going to chip in, from from the coaching point of view. All right. Um, let's start with this question. My sister-in-law came to visit from Port Harcourt, which is a city, another city here in Nigeria, and it's been 6 months now. This visit has turned to resident permit. It's been 6 months now, but it's looking like she's here to stay permanently. I asked my husband when she's leaving, and my husband flipped. He said, I don't love his family members. That why do I want her to leave? Why do you want my sister to leave? For God's sake. This lady says, for God's sake, I just want to enjoy my marriage with my husband without external interference. The girl is disrespectful and complains, always complains. I've been trying to keep my calm, but I don't think I can take it anymore. I want to tell her to leave. To leave me and my husband. Am I wrong? Temitope, is she wrong? You've been married for 13 years.
Yeah.
Have you had this kind of episode before?
Yes, I have a couple. To be honest, she's actually not wrong. I think that she needs to have a conversation with her husband. Personally, I don't like people coming around and just faffing around. So because there's someone to clean and do certain things, does not mean that you just sit down and watch TV and just. I mean, it's a no-no for me. So for everybody who has
So
come
by you
to my
saying
house,
that if somebody comes to your house,
yes,
if they can be very
make themselves
supportive,
useful.
you don't mind?
Yes.
Okay.
So two things. Depending on who it is and depending on the condition why they're around. So if somebody comes, maybe because they are doing IT in school, and I know that they go to work in the morning, they come back in the evening, and maybe when they come back, maybe during weekends, they're also useful. So you don't have to tell them to do this. They just take initiative to do certain things. I like to see that you are useful in the house, and also because I know that it is for a period of time, so I don't have a problem with it. But if the person has come to become a permanent resident, I'm not aware, because I'm married to my husband, and I know that I'm supposed to be one with his family members, right? But that being said, there has to be an understanding between the husband and wife to say, what do we want to accept? What are the boundaries and all of those things? Because that's communication
Okay,
and that
I
conversation
I
is
get
important.
you, and I like the way you're ending, which is that there has to be some agreement. But from this tone, it looks like this lady is struggling to get an agreement from her husband. Now, I'm going to maybe come back to you. But before I go to the other lady that we have here, I know you think I'm going to come to you. I think I want to talk to the guys. Is there any of you that you have a sister?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if your younger sister wants to come to live with you in Lagos, how would you go about it? And do you think, both of you are in your third year of marriage, do you think that will or go well with you know? Do you think this lady is just being hyper?
Okay, well, for me, I would say that maybe the story that we don't know is how is the lady to the siblings. We can hear her complaining, but when you have in-laws coming to you as the host, are you also giving attitude? Are you even welcoming? We don't know that part of the story. We are just hearing her saying that I've tried to talk, but we don't even know your own attitude towards.
No, no, but you know that if some things happen unexpectedly, that in itself can trigger you badly, because this person was supposed to come and visit, and has been visiting for 6 months. So how do you balance that with what you just said?
Okay, well, when you're dealing with in-laws, I've learned that in-laws are is like dealing with eggs. You have to be careful, you have to be sensitive and all that. But I have an experience in this, and that's because currently I have a sibling who is staying with me, and it was a we both agreed, and my wife, that okay, within the first 2 years we will not have any external person coming to see us. We want to bond. We have learned stories of marriages that break up and all that, so we agreed that, see, this first 2 years nobody's going to come. But
But the 2 years is over.
yeah, but while we're still yeah,
2 years.
this year that we're going to be, three, in November, my brother, decided he wants to come around. The circumstances was that, look, he's depressed where he is. I need to come and stay, and we need to welcome him. And I had to have the conversation with my spouse to say, okay, he's coming, can we accommodate him? So we needed to have that conversation as to what are the structures we're going to put in place. But when he came, the agreement then was just stay for maybe like a month and so. But somehow it has started extending. What we didn't do then, we didn't set timelines. We didn't say this is how long. All we're saying is that let him just come first. When he gets here, we will figure it out. Let him just come. Let him just, arrive first. And then
So now your story is kind of looking like this story.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So
So
you are still experiencing it. When you finish
no,
experiencing it, you will come back to tell us. But
yeah.
if you're watching this from outside of our clime,
Mm,
which is Africa, one thing that Africans are known for is that we're
mm,
quite accommodating,
mm,
and sometimes in-laws and family members don't need permission to come into your house.
mm,
As bad as that sounds, it happens in Africa.
mm.
Yeah. So I heard that too. Yeah. So have you experienced this? And if you were this lady, will you be this frantic and a bit, upset with what's going on?
Well, I mean, my husband and I have always been about that space thing. We like our space and all of that, and we don't want people in our space. In fact, for the length of our marriage. But what I'm finding, as you know, as the years go by, you adjust your thinking, your thinking evolves. What I'm finding is that those people, when they come into your space, they can be a blessing. Trust me, I still have that. I want my space. I still have that. But it can be a blessing. And like Tim Tokwe said, if the person is such that they're adding value, why not? But if they're not adding value, unpopular opinion, I'll begin to look for mischievous, wise ways. Unpopular opinion, look for wise ways to move them out. Not doing something wicked, But to move them out, if you are going to be in my space, you need to be adding value because we're paying bills, we have a lot of things, and we're adjusting our boundaries to
To
have you in our
accommodate you.
space. So you need to be adding value. If you're not, well, my husband and I need to have a conversation. If it's kind of is not listening, like this person is not listening, we need, the advice, that age old advice still applies. Finding the best time and the best scenario to still chip that in. What I would do two things. I would do the mischievous things that will make the person uncomfortable, and it would be the idea to want to leave. And I will continue sowing the seeds in the mind. Look, like, this is what we agreed. This is what it is. These are the merits. But if the person is adding value, that's a different. So I think it's a case by case thing.
So
It's
you
circumstantial. It's
you are
case by
more,
case.
yeah, for you, value.
Value.
Yeah, you put value,
Value.
and that tallies with
And there are people in my house now because they're adding
Temitope
value.
too. Yeah, that tallies with Temitope's stand too.
Yeah.
So it looks like maybe some ladies will not mind, depending on who. If the person is very value adding, they may not mind. Now, I want to flip it, ladies. We're talking about your in-laws. What about when it's your sibling that want to come to the house? Do you still consider value before you agree? Because this is now your relative, your sibling, maybe your younger brother or sister, and they want to come to the city. They don't have anywhere to stay, and they want to stay with you. What's the manner of approach to your husband on it? And will you base it on value? You tell your mom, this boy will not be able to add any value to my family, so I'm not taking him in. Or this lady, what do you say to that?
All right. So I think that my siblings have stayed with me the most. I think every one of my siblings have stayed in my house. Currently, I have two of my siblings in my house. They know. Like, so sometimes it's like maybe I should go and sleep so that they can have free time to faff around. Because if I'm awake, I don't watch TV. Like, I'm not a TV watching person. And there's a reason for it. Maybe the early years of my marriage, I do. But at some point, I just figured that is a bit of distraction. Let me focus on something else. Maybe I do once in a while if I have to
So
watch movie with my
you're just
husband.
saying that you are a
Yeah.
very serious-minded person.
Yes. So either ways, and that's because just so that can help them as well. They need to understand that life is not a bed of roses. And then if they live with me and I'm providing for them now, I'm not going to provide for them forever. So they need to start thinking of something. If they are not, I'm going to think on their behalf and we're going to have a conversation. So either ways, my siblings know, my in-laws know that if you are going to come and stay in my house, you can't just faff around. I mean, it's something that they know and we understand that.
Okay. So you stand for value. Well,
Yeah.
either way,
Yeah.
there is no nepotism. Whether it's the person is your sibling or not, it's value driven meritocracy.
Yeah.
That's the the rule for getting
Yep.
somebody into your house.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
William, let's close on you on this particular question. Just give your own take, just one take on the matter.
Okay, if I'm to give my take, I won't want to go by what everyone has said, so I'll just add to what Ira said, which is rather than looking for wicked ways or train tantrums or how to get them out. You know how you say you pray for the prosperity of your enemy. So I'll start looking for, don't you want to further your school? Don't you want to change? Don't you want to get a place? So let's pay for a place for you so you can be independent. Just give them offerings, from the positive. I believe in selling. You can sell anything, so sell to them, and then they'll do your bidding and they'll be happy about it. And both parties are happy.
Long story short, you still push them out. But you're just saying employ positive tactics.
Yeah.
All right. And I also said that she won't be wicked. It's just that
So that-
she will look for a way to kick them out.
And they'll
Yeah.
feel like it's the idea. Oh my. He
Yeah.
supported me. I need to go.
All right. So on that note, let's move to another question, and this one will ride on this very nicely. My wife and my mother have blatantly refused to agree. It is so bad that anytime my mother is coming, I have to be in the house as a mediator, between the two of them. Sometimes my mom is at fault, and other times it's my wife disrespecting my mom in subtle ways. I don't want to pick sides, but I'm getting tired of this back and forth. If I support my mom, my wife will complain. And if I support my wife, my mom will start blackmailing me emotionally. Honestly, I am tired. Reading itself, I'm already tired.
Oh.
Because I can imagine what this man is going through. You have this emotional connection with your mom, and you don't want her to be treated anyhow. At the same time, your wife is the one person that you're choosing to marry. This is your spouse. You can't marry your mom,
Mm.
but they're just not getting along. So it's like you're caught in the middle. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, when I first heard that question, what came to my mind was, who's your primary audience at this time? Who's your priority at this time? It's tough. Your mother gave birth to you, she raised you, she sacrificed years and years, but you did not make vows to her. So it's a tough decision.
I don't think so.
It's a
It's,
tough decision. It's a tough one.
you are speaking priority. Hmm. In some people's mind, it's like taboo that you are actually attempting to prioritize maybe your wife over your mom or your mom over your wife, depending on what side of the divide you are in terms of perspective. Yeah, but you still feel that the principle of priority
It's
is
because you have to make a call. You can't keep the two of them in the same house and to continue because it's not good for your marriage in the long run. You are breeding an environment of resentment, bitterness. And women, don't forget, we store things. We are going to be something that you did in the last 5 years. So why continue to build that resentment? It will get in the way of a lot of things.
let me ask this
You
guy.
have to make
Let me ask
For-
this guys here.
the
Wait,
way-
wait
okay.
first. Do you have a relationship with your mom?
Yes, I do.
Strong one.
Yeah.
What about you, King?
Yes, I do.
You love your mom.
Yes. Very, very, very well.
But do you love her more than your wife?
No, I don't. Because
You know your mom may watch this podcast.
yes.
Yeah,
And she knows. She knows that because this is very I never thought that, as bonded as I was with my mom, because most times I talk more about her than my dad. A lot of people always ask me, is your dad alive? Because I had that very strong bond until when it was tested during my wedding.
Hmm.
When for the first time she said she had her own candidate that
For
you
you to
can't,
marry.
yeah, for me to marry.
Okay.
And I see this in movies. I never thought that one day I would be at loggerheads where I would tell mommy, if you don't come for the wedding, don't come. And then she had, oh, you don't want your mother to be at the wedding. It was a prayer point that I had to call. I never knew. I see this in movies. I never thought that they would get to a point. And my wife was also about to leave the wedding. I mean, her siblings were telling her, don't enter this marriage. If already they are giving you these vibes, if you enter inside, don't just. But why she stayed was because she saw how solid I was. I was secure in protecting her.
So your loyalty was fully tested.
Yes, my loyalty was fully tested. And I had to tell her that, okay, I'm sorry, mom. This is the person I want to marry. I am convinced God has told me. But
You know what I'm picking from what King is saying. You know, they say generally in life, one of the important prayers, may your loyalty not be tested. Because when your loyalty is tested, we're separating boys from men.
Yeah.
And girls from women. You understand? Because it takes a lot of maturity to prevail when your loyalty is tested and for you to demonstrate wisdom. But what I'm adding to it is that sometimes it's better for your loyalty to be tested early enough. Because when it's tested early enough, we have already drawn the line.
Yeah. Yes.
Because from what she
Yes.
told us now,
Yes.
it means that whatever happens as she goes on in her marriage, her mom already knows her stand, where she's going to be. I mean,
Yes.
she
Yes.
already knows your stand.
Yes.
His stand,
Yes.
where
Yes.
it's going to be
Yes.
on
Yes.
matters if
If
they cross path
yes.
between his mom and his wife.
Yes.
His mom
Yes.
already knows that he will line up behind his
Yes.
wife. William,
Yes.
is it the same for you? Is it that clear cut? But we're still
Yeah, I think it's clear cut. The way I like to think of it is, we all have one life to live, and everyone must take responsibility for it. So your mom, has her own husband, and then you have your own wife. So as a male child, a boy child, you your mom cannot be married to her husband and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It means she's trying to cheat life.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's so you need to realize that. And the question will be that when push comes to shove, would your mom pick you
Mm.
over her
Mhm.
husband?
Hmm.
She
Or
would like
are
to
you
pick
just
Well,
one.
it
going to
depends,
be
oh.
yes? So do
She
you
would like
want
to-
to
Well, it
play
depends. It
second
depends on the
their marriage.
relationship he
Yeah.
has with her husband.
Situation,
Though.
Do you
oh.
want
She
to
might-
play
she would
second
definitely pick her
fiddle?
child in most cases.
Or do you want to grow up
But I hear
and
what
own
William is
yourself?
saying because this is very instructive and challenging, especially for ladies who are listening and watching us, and the two ladies also here on set. Tim Tokwe, you have a son, right?
Yes, I have two sons.
So you have two sons.
Yeah.
Imagine these are your two sons, and you are now 60 or 70, and they said, "Mommy, mind your business."
To be honest, I am very big on boundaries, and that's for me.
Mm.
I like to give people their space. I like people to be themselves. I pray that my husband and I will grow old together. The bond I have with my husband is enough. I want my son to be a man and
Mhm.
own his
I love
own
that.
as well. But there are not a lot of parents that are like that. So different things playing in my mind is our husband still alive? Because why is she into her
Mm.
son the way she is?
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
and particularly if I would add, I would say that the lady needs to pray for wisdom.
Yeah.
And I say that because she might be right, she might not do anything wrong. But if you have a manipulative mother-in-law, she won't fight you alone. No. She will look for other people to fight alongside. And then it might not play in your favor eventually. So she needs wisdom to be able to make sure that everybody comes together. And I also think that the husband should be able to have a conversation with his mom. Like the mom should be able to listen to her son, and all of those things. But the woman has a major part to play. One, to pray for wisdom, and the other to be a little patient, because that's her mother-in-law. The man that you're loving on was raised by this woman.
Yeah.
Even if you have right of stay in the family, you just don't think that you want her to live just like that because you are priority. I think it would be nice to consider that, so
Okay.
that in the future something like that doesn't happen to you as well.
So you're saying, mind the seed you are sowing,
Exactly.
and it takes wisdom to sow the right seed in the different seasons of life.
Right.
If you are too upfront, too brutal in the way you're cutting through this situation, you may experience it too in the future. And we have to be sensitive to each other.
Yeah.
All right. So the lady should be admonishing the lady, or ladies generally, to be more
But
sensitive.
we left the man that
their-
asked the question.
Yeah, no,
we need to go back to the man.
no, the man is exasperated. Obviously, he needs help, and
Mm.
it looks like he couldn't help himself. So maybe if the lady's behavior changes a bit,
Mm.
it will be a respite, for some bit of respite. Because in this case now, we have spoken to the mother, we have spoken to the lady. So you're saying we should speak to him too.
If I can help the man a
Okay.
bit,
Because
the
you asked
truth
the
is,
question.
it's difficult to be put in a position where you're in between two ladies that love you. So I'm speaking to perspective now. You need to realize that these two women love you.
Yeah.
And it's that common factor, that is causing the friction. Well, friction is when two objects
Yes.
come together, so there's something between them and they love you. And if there's something I've noticed about women is, they like to test, your loyalty. They like to see, what boundaries are available. So if you look at it that these women love you, your mom just wants to test you. She wants to see how much you love your wife, really. So don't assume that your mom would, break down, when you stand up for your wife. Your mom wants you to love your wife inside of her. So she wants to see,
But William, you're sounding like an idealist because you are speaking for the ideal mother. Some mothers are also, though advanced in age, as in older, but they're not that emotionally balanced.
Right.
Yeah. They suffer certain things. They're looking for palliative for their emotions.
Yes.
Which is why, like Tokwe said, that's why you leave your husband, or maybe the woman is a widow. We don't know in this context. If it's a situation of a widow, there's a need for more sensitivity. because she may not be able to get the emotional connection and the emotional support that she needs because she doesn't have any husband. But if she's not a widow, we're encouraging her to go back to her husband and leave this man alone for his wife. You understand? So we need to. It's a very delicate thing, but the guy needs to trust God for wisdom. Like you said, when you are in between two people that love you, you must understand that tension is created. And in life, we say situations of life either come as problem to solve or tension to manage.
Yeah.
This case is not essentially a problem to solve. It's tension to manage because you cannot dissociate yourself from your mom. You can't ban your mom from visiting your house. At the same time, you cannot insist that your wife must always do the biddings of your mom. Yeah. The only thing you can do in managing the tension is, my wife, please respect my mom. I know she's not your best friend. She's not your friend like that. But honor and regard.
Yeah.
Mom, there's boundary. There are certain discussions that you shouldn't have with my wife, have with me. Yeah, I'm the man in this house. This is my
Absolutely.
house. So rather than talking to my wife about certain things, talk to me about those things. I will talk to my wife and then we'll let you know what is possible. So those kind of wisdom is what will be necessary for this young man to be able to pull through and know that this is a tension to manage. So in this situation, you are the tension manager and you manage it and trust God for grace and wisdom to manage it well.
Sorry, PJ. I think
Yeah.
I have maybe it was a wisdom that I applied during my own time that maybe can help somebody. Because when it was looking like my mom was going to be at loggerhead, it was either you take me or I'm not coming for your wedding. And I had to seek counsel. And then a counselor told me something after I shared with her and said, King, I see that your mom is a pillar in your life and she's been there for you from the beginning. You cannot do that wedding and your mom doesn't show up. You have to ensure you sort this out. However, and she stopped calling, we stopped talking. And what I did was that I had to buy a gift, travel to Port Harcourt, buy a few things, met her, knelt down before her. I said, Mom, I got you these things. Please, I need your support. I want you to come for my wedding. But at the same time, I need you to understand and respect my decision. This is the woman I want to marry. However, I know you feel threatened that you are no longer first place. Because the fear is, the money I give you anymore, somebody has come and chanced. Before now, you're a priority. I can do anything for you and all that. But look, I know you have fears. And you are doing this, but because you have your own interest. But I'm not going to abandon you. The fact that I'm going to get married, yes, my wife will come, but I'm not going to abandon you. And I'm really sorry. Whether I'm wrong, I'm sorry for how I took. So I think it broke down her walls because she was like, this fight, we'll see where it will end. Shebi, you want to show that you're a man. I will show you that I brought you to Christ. I'm born, I taught you, but she didn't expect that turn I took to say, okay, I humbled myself. God has something, and say, look, we need to work together. And now, most times she has to talk to my wife first before me. They are now like besties and all
Because
that.
she
That's really
understands
very
now.
good. I love
Yeah.
the way things have panned out
Yeah.
in that particular situation. And that's the kind of courage that I'm talking about. Whether if it's the family of the lady, the mother-in-law is at loggerheads with the man, the woman must play the role of a tension manager who will be able to pick, what can I do to douse this tension? What can I do to appeal to the conscience of either my mom or my spouse? Yeah. Because in some situations, your focus should be on your spouse. Because you can kind of love her to submission and reassure her of your love. In other situations, your focus is, how can I help my mom to gain perspective while still drawing boundaries? Yeah. But let her know that her interest is secured. I still honor her, love her, and respect her as my mom. It's just that this boundary cannot be compromised. Yeah. And since you brought me up as a man, a real man that must, stand for something. In this case, I'm standing here, but I'm standing on principle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we continue to manage the tension like that. Yeah. I know it's tough,
Okay.
but
Williams has a different.
it's
No, no,
achievable.
no.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
align,
Okay.
but I was just thinking of something, the mother behold your daughter, daughter behold your mother.
Mm.
So, mommy, let's go back to now. You had issues prior to the wedding, but if everything went well, if we're able to go through then with the wedding, there would have been a point where they said, we are coming together, so our families now are one. So both of us are children to this family, and both of us are children to
To
this
this
family.
family too.
So you say, mommy is your daughter, daughter is your mother. So you go, my mother is our mother. You're right. And same. So once you begin to create that understanding, so it also sort of douses the tension to say we are picking one over one. When you make decision for me, you make for her.
Mm.
When you make decision for this, it applies to, and then we show the same courtesy to your parents on the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
side, and
I
then
agree
there's a
with you,
balance.
William, but I also feel like, yeah, it's better said than done. I've seen many situations where you tell people, mother, behold your daughter. Mommy, please don't fight your daughter again. She's your daughter just like I'm your son. And mommy is saying, okay,
Okay.
I'm hearing
No,
you.
wala.
Yeah. And mommy lives there, goes out and tells the next person, he says, I'll deal with that girl. You see, my son is just saying his own. My son does not know his mother.
Yeah.
If you see what that girl said to me, so some things don't change just
Yeah.
at the flip of the
Mm.
finger. No, it's I mean at the snap of finger. No, it takes a process, and you have to continue to be the mediator with the
Yeah.
wisdom of God. All right, so, but we need to move on quickly. Another question here. My husband and I were planning to Japa. Japa is to migrate. All right. Like we have a lot of that going on around the world and especially in our nation, Nigeria, and a lot of African countries. People are moving to different countries. And young couples are also planning all kinds of Japa moves, migration. But in this case, this lady said they both applied for the visa to go to a particular country. The husband got a visa. She was denied.
Yeah. Well.
So she said it's been a year now since he traveled, and now he is no longer talking about me joining him. Anytime I bring up the issue, he looks for a way to change the topic. And honestly, I'm beginning to lose my patience. I don't even have the money to plan my migration, which is Japa, on my own. So I need to depend on him if I have to, travel. Uh, but she said, thank God we don't have kids yet. Maybe I can just get a divorce and move on with my life. So the issue is, should she move on? Because the signal here is that it looks like this guy um, is,
Building a new life
is
somewhere
building a
else.
new life or is more content with his life the way he is there. He's not pushing. When you miss somebody, you miss your wife, you miss your husband, you want them to come, relocate on time so that you can be together and then build a family because they yet to start having kids and really building things together. They've only been married, just for a short period of time. And so, what should we advise this lady? Should she keep opening the marriage, finding money on our own, planning a Japa move on our own, or is it time to actually rethink?
Just two things that came to my mind. She needs to speak to the people, he has people he's accountable to, he has family members, he has parents likely that are still alive, has uncles that he respects. Has she engaged these people yet? Engage these people yet? One. Also, this is the obvious answer, praying for wisdom, because it's God that sees what it is that's happening there. And when you move to a new environment, the environment is completely different. It's recalibrates your mind, and obviously the person's up to something, possibly no good, likely no good. So there's a lot of wisdom and there's a lot of things that she doesn't see at this time. So she's going to need a lot of wisdom, you know. And third thing I can't remember now. I'm sure you'll circle back to me. I'm sure I'll remember in a minute.
All
But
right.
there are other people in this that were part of
So you think
the wedding and the ceremony and all of that.
yes, she
She needs
should
to
bring
engage
other
them.
people into what is
What's
happening
going on? They
quickly.
should call him
Yeah,
to
so
order.
I actually think that it's very difficult because the guy is not even communicating. Because she needs to make a decision, but if he's having a hard time over there, she needs to know what the situation is so that she can plan. If she needs to have patience, how long for? You can't just leave somebody blank. And so all of the emotions and the thoughts that are coming to her mind are very valid. But like Ayodotun said, I think she can engage with family members. I mean, someone that she can trust their advice and objectivity to say, this is what we are experiencing. Even a pastor in church, this is what we're experiencing, and they can advise her. I don't think that if she's not doing anything at the moment, she needs to start doing something. The fact that she relies on him for every single thing is not good for her.
Well, she
Yeah.
didn't quite say that. She only said that she didn't have money to plan the
Process,
japa
yes.
herself. Not that she didn't have money to live her life.
I think she
Yeah.
has an advantage of not even having kids yet. So I mean, there's still flexibility to do stuff.
When you say do stuff, you
Yeah,
have
like to
clarify.
work, to work and make money. Yeah, do you understand? Like she can still work and make money. Because if she had kids, that's an additional responsibility for her. So she can seek counsel. But in the meantime, if she really loves him, like real deep, she can continue to reach out to him. But I know that it can be painful, that you are trying to communicate and you don't really know what the reality is. You are married to somebody, I mean, naked and not ashamed. That's what we've been saying. You should be able to open up to say, my wife, this place is not bread and butter the way we were thinking. This is what is going on, so that
Okay.
she can settle
So
and find a way to manage
to
the
manage the
situation.
situation. So the
Yeah.
uncertainty can be killing,
Exactly.
can be, and all that. And then the distance and
Yeah.
all. But if I want to add something on top of this, which is another question that somebody asked, said I got married to the love of my life, or so I thought last year, just a year ago. We are not even up to a year. I'm already having doubts in my mind. How can I not know what my wife earns? Every time I try to have that conversation with her, she either changes the topic or turns it to a fight. I already don't know what to do. I already don't know what to do again. I thought when we married, two became one. Just like you said, naked and not ashamed, two became one. Why is my own like this? Now, these cases are similar because it's also a case of you're not giving information.
Yeah.
This one says, when I ask about my relocation plan to join you, he dodges me.
Yeah.
This other person is saying, this is now a guy that's saying, I don't know how much my wife earns, but just 1 year in marriage, she's not talking. She's, covering up things to me. These ones are together. These ones are apart. I know it's more precarious when you are apart.
Yeah.
But even the ones that are together, it looks like it's becoming a thing now for people to just, be playing, as in not willing to open up, So, William, if you don't know how much your wife earns and you try to probe and all, and you're not getting that information, the vibe is mind your business and all. Somebody's trying to shut down on the level of companionship and intimacy in your marriage. What would that portend for you?
Well, I've heard it when women will say, "Your money is our money, my money is my money." And women tend to say that a lot, and they don't just say; they actually believe it. So I don't know where the guy is at, but if I was in this situation, it takes the wisdom of God as well. But as a man, you need to.
But I need to understand this. I think is beyond money for him. It's just
Trust.
It's just trust, because it feels like, look, I don't even know the simplest things about you, which is how much do you earn? And he said, I thought I married the love of my life, but this person now, I don't even think I know who I married.
Money is important. Money is critical.
big
It
deal.
happened in my marriage, so I know. In fact, it got to a point on the day of our wedding. I literally stopped, went to find my wife. She was making up. I stopped them. And I looked at her and said, I hope money is not going to be a problem in this marriage. So because
Why did you say that?
That was that was
Have you
sort
been
of the
seeing the flags?
feelers, that we're getting. So money, and it's like PG said, it's an issue of trust. So you find out that eventually there's an issue of trust. So how did I handle it? You look away. When I just looked away, manned up, do what I can do, plan for the our money is my money is our money, I be. So live by example. Put our money on the table. So there were stages to it. Found out that when she saw that okay, he's not interested in my money, then she begins to say, this is all that's coming and this is how it's coming in. It's just that it came from the information stage. So I'm telling you, but don't ask. Or for safety, don't ask. Then we went from that stage to then we can begin to talk about it. So okay, this is the money. Can we do this? Can we do that? Then it gets after that stage, and then let's plan for the money. Let's begin to budget. This is okay. You
So
explain,
you're
make her
saying that
understand.
there's a way
So
that
yes, it's
these
systematic.
kind of things can be managed rather than being afraid, being anxious, and being frustrated.
That's right.
You can make somebody more comfortable to uh, to begin to lean into being trustworthy, or we can shift our relationship on the trustworthiness side of life gradually by changing some of my own behaviors, asking myself some of the questions I want to ask her first to say, why would she not want to do this? Is she dealing with a particular fear? What happened to our parents in their own finances?
Yeah.
Was
That's
it
right.
like our dad
Mhm.
carried our,
That's right.
our
Yeah,
mom's
it's a lot of
money
things,
and
social
ran away with it,
conditioning
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the
and all
traumas from
that, and
growing
the
up.
traumas and all that? Because if I understand what somebody is dealing with, I can know what will be the appropriate manner of approach.
Right.
You wanted to
Yes,
add something
yes.
to that?
I just want to give you a personal example as to something my spouse and I have been arguing about for the longest time. One day he changed his approach, and that broke my defense. The defense I've been building for years. Changed his approach. So I'm thinking that this gentleman may need to change his approach. Maybe the way he's asking is, well, how much are you earning? But you need to bring it because in today you have to share the bills. But if he changes his approach, that's the way same way we say to women that you stoop to honestly. The moment he changed his approach, I was like, why were you even doing strong head before? See this guy now, he's not trying to fight you. You said it, I'm not trying to fight you now. This thing we argue for too long. I'm not trying to fight you now. Why are you now doing like this? The reports will say, Akpa mi jabo. I was just like, fine. So maybe he needs to change his approach. PG said something so important today. It was regarding something else. Love her to submission. Maybe his approach was too
Say that again. Love her
to
to
submission.
submission.
Maybe his approach was too
Aggressive.
abrasive and aggressive.
Mm.
Maybe he needs to do it in a very, and he needs to be patient with it, in a very loving, trusting, very simple and less confrontational manner. I think that you will see a change. A one that feels loved and comfortable and just covered and all those things. That's all.
Open up.
Those instances.
But when it comes to the ones that
There's not like
they love across the ocean, somebody has traveled,
That
they're
one
not
is-
together.
Mm.
Well, I don't know. Loving that person to submission or to leave whatever he's doing there, if he's already arranging himself in certain ways, may be a little more difficult. So in that kind of situation, there will be a need to probe more,
Oh yes, absolutely.
find people who know this guy there, and just find out what's really going on. Is there something that may be distracting him? And then a bit of confrontation as well to say, guy, every time I bring up this topic, so can we create a 1 year to 2 year plan on how this family is going to come back together so that we can hold ourselves accountable?
But what if he has married another person? It has happened. I have heard stories.
So there's a possibility that
What if he has married another
that's
person?
possible, and it might not even be the case. Maybe he has gotten there, he doesn't have a job yet, because I mean, things are not as easy as we think.
But
you know?
but no. But to me, do you
Yeah.
think it's that difficult to tell your wife? I've not
So,
gotten
because
a
of the
job.
job.
I
So you can't
personally
come.
have a question with that. I mean, I personally have a problem with him not opening up. I don't like the fact that he just sort of brushed things under the, but I'm saying that other things are like assumptions. He might be seeing someone else, but that might not even be the case as well.
But the question doesn't say how I see it is we don't know the history as to what led to the break in communication. We don't even know that there's a break in communication.
No,
Because she's
it's
saying
a
There is.
particular area of
yes.
communication.
So she's saying we are having
where
a
there's break.
conversation, but
Or
when we
anytime
bring
I
this
bring
up, he dodges.
Yeah.
Then the follow up to that is that I cannot sponsor myself, to get there.
I can't do it myself.
Yes. So I'm now wondering why
Yeah.
is that your thought process? Why are you thinking? Why have you run to a point of saying, I can't sponsor myself? Could it be that there's been a conversation and he said that money is the issue? So we can't bring
Not
you here
necessarily.
now.
Let's not even be that clinical about it. The
Mhm.
reason perhaps where she said, I cannot sponsor myself is that if it's left to me, I will start processing the thing without him. So that, because I want us to come back together. But she's saying, look, my frustration is that I don't have the money to process this thing on my own. I still need him, but he's not willing to talk about it. Is this my signal to say maybe we should go our separate ways? What I would say to her though is, don't take it as your final signal. Dig around it, try to find out what may be leading to his own frustration as well. Like maybe I Adotun said, what about if he's gotten married or he's already in another relationship and he's cheating on you? That is called cheating. Cheating does not mean the end of marriage. Yeah. It means something went wrong. It's now left for us how we want to rework the marriage. So if there's a discovery that the man is already living with another woman or is cheating or whatever, it's now left for you to ask yourself the question, what am I willing to take and what will I not be able to take? And I think that will lead me to our final question on today, which is what someone said. Sometimes last year my husband has cheated on me and with a girl that is way below my class. And this one, even know the class of the. Sometimes you don't even know what your.
I think that's a real pain
Yeah,
point.
he said it's hot so bad. Yes, this man not only broke my trust, but he defiled our marriage. Our marriage. Say, I don't know if I will ever forgive him. You understand? So I want a situation where we can look at this last bit, together to even say, look, he said, I'm considering strongly divorce, just like the other person too. Even he said, where do I even start from? That's what this person is saying. So in a situation where this person discover that there's been infidelity and all, standing by the principle of God's word, I would say your standpoint is to ask yourself the question, can I trust God for grace to forgive? Or have we come to the end of the road in this marriage? Our faith will be tested from time to time. And one of the ways that our faith will be tested is, which I don't pray for anybody to experience, is to have a relationship that is compromised because your spouse is cheating. It will test your power of forgiveness, your capacity to forgive, which is what these two ladies, the one that has a husband abroad, we are not saying that she's there already, but the one that has this other question, we put them on the same pedestal. You have to trust God to say, you have to be able to pray and ask God, is this the end of this marriage? Or are you willing to give me the grace and the fortitude, the emotional fortitude to be able to walk through this, and become stronger through it? Because I've seen many marriages that recovered from infidelity and became stronger. And I've seen marriages that could not survive infidelity. It's somewhat like COVID. When COVID came, they said that the people that will affect the most are people who already have issues, health issues that they're dealing with. Because it's like COVID came for everybody. All right. But if somebody has an underlying situation, health situation challenge, they will struggle more with COVID. If there's an epidemic of cheating, the marriages that will survive are the ones that are stronger before. The ones that are weak before, the cheating will take the marriage out. Because how do you deal with a great blow when you have been trying to forgive, maybe in other smaller things, and then the blow of cheating then came on it again? Where do you want to start from? Everything just collapses. My prayer for anyone watching today is that God will give you the grace and the wisdom to build strength into your relationship. Amen. So that when whether it's little or big things, from my husband is stingy or my wife is lying to me, and it's a trust issue, to big issues like cheating, whatever comes, I pray that your faith will not be tempted more than that which you can bear. But the grace to continue to build your relationship on a very solid foundation of trust, where strength is already embedded in that relationship, so that when the wind and the waves and the storms of life then shows up, when the wind comes, you will be able to still withstand the pressure. I want to say a big thank you to you guys for joining me on the podcast today. Your experience has been invaluable. Thank you for sharing your life experiences, your relational experiences, and you did that with boldness and candor, which is quite uncommon in our climb. Thank you for just being willing to give your experience, and I hope this has been a blessing to someone. Until we come your way again on the Living and Loving podcast, enjoy this, share it with somebody, send us a message to let us know how you have enjoyed it, and much more than that, share with somebody, share with your spouse, discuss some of the issues that we have raised, and then come up with some solutions for yourself that will move your marriage forward. God bless you.